Well, you know what, Jennifer? What's interesting is I never think of myself as an activist.
Interesting.
I don't mean to be humble or falsely so about that. I think about being someone who's active about things that are important to get done, so in that sense. But I never have felt like it was a label that I identified with. It was more about, in every situation when I've been active outside of my own personal life, it's been because of something that people asked me to do, or that and that I believed in doing. Reading books as a child, I loved to read, and everybody who was active and ever got to be a hero seemed to be male. Or even if they were girls, male, and the male pronouns were used. And I can remember changing them in my head as I read. Like once I read a novel as a kid about a tennis star, and I thought, I was playing tennis. Wouldn't it be great to be a tennis star, to play tennis all the time and get really good at it? And the book had he. They used the pronoun he. And I thought, girls could be tennis stars too. So when I read it, I just changed all the pronouns to she. So I kind of empowered myself in terms of equality because I didn't see it out there and knew that that's who I was. I was she. So I wanted to make sure that was the case. John Kennedy started the Peace Corps. Also, the Peace Corps didn't exist before then. So now I had two tracks. There was the Peace Corps, which any citizen could really apply for to go help out in underdeveloped countries. And then there was religious life, the convent, where I had been raised in a Catholic tradition and gone to elementary school, which was Catholic, a high school, which was Catholic, had been influenced by the nuns and priests my whole life and all my siblings. So that I believe that with my faith and my interest in improving, in changing lives, that the convent was the easier path, was one path for me.
Interesting.
And it was more socially acceptable for my parents to think I was being entrusted to the nuns than going off into some third world country where they had no clue what I would be facing. Mm-hmm. So I often think if we were Protestant or Jewish, maybe I would have gone to the Peace. Because I wanted, when we went to town, they made us put helmets, headpieces on that made us look like the older nuns, and we weren't even wearing them on our own, and I thought it was stupid. And so I questioned authority. Right? The best thing about being there was the amazing sense of community that I developed in my life that still exists all these years later, even though most of the women that I was there with are also no longer in the convent. They're married with kids and grandkids, and together up on a hill in a house where we were brought together to study a couple times a day and ate all our meals together. And so we really became a family in the sense of a really strong group of people who believed in the same things and who were living the same values. And it became the strongest experience of community that I've ever had. And nothing, no class I've taught, no team I've been on, no class or team I helped develop into a group ever became, for me, that was the first time I experienced it. I think the rules and regulations for being there were out of line with the times and were changing as quickly as the times were. So it was hard. It was going from being an activist in high school to not being able to leave the convent grounds for a year or two. But becoming a greater activist was why I went to the convent, not a lesser one. It was the priest or the bishop who would come every day to say Mass for the nuns, right? And so the nuns would all eat together in this one big dining room, and the priest would have another dining room where they were served by the nuns, where they had better furniture, better silverware, better food, more of it. It was intentionally. I mean, the nuns did it. The nuns participated in that oppression. You internalize it. You just say, this is what we're supposed to do. I had an advocate who was a nun that taught me in high school. And, when she came over, when I got back home, she and my parents met with me and said, we know this priest and he can talk to them about getting you back in. And I'm like,